In the wise words of Kanye, let's play the blame game, I hate you more. I feel like that wraps up the first story that we're going to be covering today. And anyway, g'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA. Now, if you love today's bloody good stories, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the Barbie, and get ready for a little bit of controversy. Let's go. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my brother-in-law see my son after causing me to miss his birth? So, I have a few close friends from college that I hang out with, including my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, Austin. My wife and I are expecting our first baby, and because this was our first, we struggled with understanding things like whether my wife was going into labor or just dealing with pain and soreness. We ended up in hospital for nothing since she was due in July. Therefore, I've limited my time out with the guys, especially in the evening and nighttime. I've skipped meetings with them to stay home by my wife's side, ready for any emergencies. My friends were upset they haven't seen much of me in a while. I explained my situation, but they gave me crap about it every time, especially Austin, who kept pressuring me into going out for a few beers, saying that he was in my shoes twice and has experience. He said that XYZ signs, I can't see it here, mean that my wife would soon be in labor and advised me to relax. One night, I caved in to going to his farm since his birthday was days prior, and I missed it because my wife got sick. He wasn't happy and whined about it. My wife was with my in-laws and I wanted to call her but couldn't find my phone. I put it on the corner but it wasn't there. I borrowed one of their phones after an hour or so of searching to call my wife, and her sister picked up asking where I was. I was in dismay when she said she was in the hospital with my wife because her water broke and she went into labor. I couldn't explain, so I drove to the hospital ASAP, but was met with my father-in-law berating me for ignoring his texts and 18 missed calls. I wasn't allowed into the delivery room because my wife screamed at me to stay out. I felt awful, and I waited outside while my in-laws berated me for my neglect, even when I said I lost my phone. Chris said that Austin hid my phone after seeing my father-in-law's text in order to get back at me for missing his birthday. I blew up at Austin, calling him a son of a beached whale for doing this. He said Chris was a liar and swore he didn't see any text or calls, and he hid it as a joke to scare me for a bit. I left after this and I haven't seen him in days. The guys got involved, begging me to make things right with Austin, who didn't know, otherwise he would have told me. So it was a misunderstanding, and my wife bears the blame for not letting me into the room. But can I blame her? I refused to see him. My sister said I should let Uncle Austin see little Timmy, because he's longing to meet him as family, and even cried and said I was being unfair to him and all those years of friendship we had. But I said no, I won't let him meet my son after this. Chris said that Austin bragged about it later on, then Chris decided to tell me because he thought that it was wrong that I get blamed by my in-laws. And edit to add, I'm sorry for not responding, but I was very busy. And to make a few things clear, 1. None of my family said anything about not allowing Austin to see my son except my sister and my friends. 2. Chris is one of the guys who were there that night. He and Austin aren't very close, and Austin thinks Chris hates him for no reason and doesn't like having him around much, but just for the group's sake. Austin tries to keep the peace. In my opinion, Chris is a decent guy. And 3, my in-laws are upset with me as well as my wife and say that even though Austin was at fault, I too was being reckless and irresponsible. This is quite a deep issue, this one, and I can see the arguments for a not the arsehole judgment on this one, but OP needs to take some personal responsibility here. I agree that we all need friends and we all need some time off, especially in very stressful times like this. It's great to go see friends and do it responsibly and have a good time and, let loose a little bit. Though I don't understand why you didn't do this before your wife was absolutely ready to pop. It seems like any day now your kid was ready to come out. And also the fact that you left your phone up on the counter. Now that's not particularly an egregious offense, but it shouldn't have ever been up on the counter. It should have been by your side the whole time. You dropped the ball there, and while your friend sucks for doing what he's done, I don't think you can get off so easily for that. Part of this situation is your fault for happening. You can't lay all of the blame on Austin for this. You still went out as she was ready to go into labor at any time, and you didn't keep your phone on you at all times. You didn't do your due diligence. You're not an asshole in general. I can get that from the vibe of the post, but you messed up in this situation. Your friend absolutely sucks, and I would question, if you're going to rebuild that bridge with Austin or not. So that's my judgment. Everyone sucks here. Now in the comments, Any Scientist 7467 says, not the asshole. You need adult friends. Nothing funny about what they did. I personally find that unforgivable. This a million times. OP, you need to find friends that add to you and your family's lives, not this selfish brat. I would never forgive this guy. He would be dead to me forever. Hopefully your wife understands what he did to both of you and joins you in banning him. Not the asshole. He deliberately hid your phone so you missed your child's birth. That is the type of person you don't want around your child. Yeah, what if it had been something life-threatening for OP's child or wife? Well, birth has traditionally been quite life-threatening, and the US has one of the highest maternal death rates among developed countries. Go Blue 9000 says, everyone sucks here except your wife. Others are letting you off the hook, but you too are an asshole. You're a 30s male, and you allowed peer pressure to force you to hang out. Yes, he stole your phone, and that makes him the biggest asshole for him deliberately pulling his crap, but you as a grown-ass man should be keeping better tabs on your stuff, and you as an adult need to learn to put your foot down. But I guess this was a learning experience for you. I agree with this ruling, but for a slightly different reason. Austin is obviously a jerk for doing this, and OP needs to seriously reconsider their friendship, but he should not be using his son as a pawn in the game. He should either tell Austin that the friendship is over, or have an honest heart-to-heart with him about how terrible and mean-spirited this joke was, and get a real, genuine apology. Making it all about seeing or not seeing the newborn isn't going to end well. Assuming Austin stays in the friend group, is OP literally going to prevent him from seeing his son for the rest of their lives? When the son gets old enough to be aware of what's going on, it'll make him uncomfortable and upset. By all means, burn or rebuild the bridge with Austin depending on what feels right, but don't put the son in the middle of it. He had nothing to do with any of this. A joke is hiding someone's phone for a few minutes. I assume OP spent an hour searching for his phone while these clowns watched. That's not a joke. It's cruel, especially knowing the circumstances of his wife. Sorry, but I see this as an everyone sucks here. Austin is clearly an immature asshole, and you need to grow a spine. You let his temper tantrum guilt you into doing something you didn't want to do. Who cares if they're giving you crap? Your family is about to gain a new member. Wife and baby come first. Your bros can be grown-ups and wait their turn, and if they can't, they aren't really your bros. Talk to your wife. Tell her that you let Austin get to you. Tell her that you'll never forgive yourself or him for missing the birth of your first child, then ask what she wants, and back her up on it. Because right now, you are still putting Austin's temper tantrum over your wife and baby. You need to put things right with them before you spend another second of time thinking about Austin. And you can tell him so. Our next post is by user Wicked Lovely, titled, Am I the asshole for not stopping my daughter, letting her humiliate her uncle? So I, 31 female, and my hubby, 34 male, and our kids, have spent a week with my in-laws at their place. Sister-in-law's family lives close by, so we spend time with them as well. In-laws are cool, and we get along great. My sister-in-law's hubby, 40 male, is an ass though. He's loud, he takes up a lot of space, and his idea of fun is to embarrass and shame others, especially if they don't act like they should for their gender. No one gets away, not even his wife or kids. His boys are not allowed to wear pink or do any girly crap. His daughter must act like a lady, and was refused to pursue the education that she wanted, which was car mechanic. We don't have a traditional marriage. I do maintenance on our cars when needed, and the same with our garden and house. I fix whatever needs fixed in and out of the house, etc., etc. Basically, everything men would be expected to do a few years back. Hubby does a lot of the daily house chores. My brother-in-law often makes jabs at me for not being feminine enough, and hubby for not being manly enough. A housewife shouldn't be covered in dirt and oil like that. A dress would look pretty on that body of yours instead of whatever it is you're wearing. Maybe your husband should step up for once so you don't break a nail. And similar comments. It obviously pisses me off. I've promised hubby not to confront him in public, so I haven't. I've talked to him in private, but he just brushes me off, calling it some good old banter between the in-laws. Sister-in-law says nothing, ever. Our oldest kid have not promised anyone not to confront him in public, though. A few evenings ago, we were sitting in their living room after dinner, chatting and having a good time. I got up to get myself a beer, and hubby asked for a cider. My brother-in-law immediately drew his breath, and I knew it was coming. When you didn't think the roles could be more reversed. Our daughter, female 13, looked up from the board game she was playing with her cousins, stared at him, and asked, "What do you mean reversed roles?" She looked at me, but I didn't say or signal for her to drop it in any way. The rest went along the lines of, "Oh, it's just something we adults say as a joke." My daughter looks around at everyone else and says, "Huh, I thought jokes were supposed to make people laugh. No one's laughing." Well, some people just don't get the joke. Or maybe they just don't find it to be funny. Not everyone gets off on sexist comments and jokes. Oh, we're using big words now. He actually started to laugh, albeit nervously. Do you need me to explain sexism to you? The boys in my class also laugh and goof around when subjects they're not mature enough to comprehend come up. At this point, my brother-in-law huffed, got up and left the room, clearly pissed off. Things were tense for a couple of minutes, then we were back to having a good time. Hubby later that evening got a text from brother-in-law saying that he should get his kids and wife under control and teach the kids to respect their elders. Yeah, F that. Crap went down the following days, and the family is split 50-50. So am I the asshole for not telling her to keep quiet? Edit/info, yes, we ignore his comments. When he doesn't get a reaction or the attention he wants, he stops, and the remainder of the gatherings are awesome. I've known brother-in-law for 16 years. Hubby has known him for 25. Everyone has at one point tried calling him out, but it doesn't work. Ignoring is more efficient, although he just has to make a comment before he realizes no one's listening. We've talked to our kids about this as well, that his behavior obviously isn't okay, but if no one gives feedback, he'll drop it. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the arsehole. I didn't stop my daughter from speaking up, which has caused other family members to mumble about my brother-in-law's behavior. Sister-in-law and kids is stressed because now there's rumors going around that they're being suppressed and abused. I'm not sure if it could have been handled differently without it affecting sister-in-law and cousins. Now in the comments, Macaroni Rascal 42 says, "Your child is my hero. However, she should not have been the one to do that. All of you should have shut that crap down long ago, gone low contact or no contact. Why does your husband not want you to confront him in public? It's shameful your child has to be the one to call him out. That's not her responsibility. You and your husband need to have a serious talk about this. You're the asshole." And OP replies, "I explained the no confrontation in another comment. In the 16 years I've known brother-in-law, calling him out hasn't made a difference. We're already low contact, not because of his behavior, but due to distance. Going completely no contact is an absolute last resort. Kids usually are by themselves, not really hanging out with us adults. Cousins have not taken after their dad. Unfortunately, no confrontation isn't okay, not when there are children involved. They need to see and hear their parents say, 'Hell no, you don't get to talk like that to me. You can apologize or you can leave.'" Exactly. Children need to see and hear that verbal communication. Sometimes it can be hard for children to pick up on small hints and subtle communication. Yeah, this is how racism and homophobia have continued to fester. Silence in so many cases is mistaken for being complicit. Speak up if you don't agree. Otherwise, nobody will know the difference. Everyone sucks here. Not the asshole for letting her speak her mind, but you're the asshole for subjecting her to that sexist and cruel environment. Seriously, why would you want her to be taught that sexism is okay and should be ignored? Everyone sucks here except your daughter for enabling the sexist asshole to keep the peace. And I call BS to you calling him out doesn't work. Your 13-year-old daughter handled him swiftly and efficiently. You making a promise not to call him out is sexist in its own right and needs to be addressed in your own marriage. Silencing someone who is attacking and putting you down for 16 plus years? Are you frackin' kidding me? I'm sorry, internet stranger. You need to require more of yourself and your partner in life. Call brother-in-law out every time. The simplest, I don't get it. Explain it to me. So you think women are incapable? Etc., etc. Or, brother-in-law, I foolishly agreed to remain silent about your BS attitude, thinking you'd eventually shut the hell up. But you haven't. My daughter's last interaction with you shows me how toxic this dynamic has been, and if you can't do better, then you can't be with us. Everyone but your daughter is an asshole here, everyone sucks here. And back to the post, OP puts in a final edit. Alright, hubby and I have had a serious long talk after showing him the comments on the post. We see that we're the assholes for subjecting our kids to brother-in-law. Which is not what this Am I the Asshole was about, but Reddit speaketh the truth once again, even though they know this behavior is not okay. We honestly thought talking to them about it, explaining our reasoning behind ignoring and not bother to confront, etc. was enough. We realized we were in the wrong, and we still talk to our kids about it and how we should've, and will in the future, handle it. It will most likely be 6 to 9 months until we see sister-in-law and the in-laws again. We've already now decided that whenever he makes his comments, we'll just up and leave. No explanation, just take the kids with us and whoosh. If that doesn't work after a repetition or two, we will inform the in-laws that we will not attend gatherings, etc. where he will be present. Going no contact is, as I already said, a last resort. The kids go along amazingly, theirs and ours, and I love spending time with sister-in-law as we have a lot in common. I would very much hate to keep the kids from seeing each other, so hubby and I hope that our plan will work. It will take some time to find out since we don't see each other often, and I'm fairly quick to say others should go no contact when there's toxic family involved, and it's obviously easier said than done. Thanks everyone for taking the time to reply, especially those with constructive feedback in the comments. Our next post is by user Hello8391, titled, Am I the asshole for getting mad when my husband and his friend didn't eat dinner the way I prepared it? For weeks now, I've been dying to make this homemade chicken Alfredo pasta recipe. I finally got together all the ingredients and chose to splurge on the expensive Parmesan cheese. I only make this every once in a while because it's not particularly healthy, but I just love it with a nice glass of wine. I'd been saying to my husband how pumped I was to make it and enjoy dinner and wine together. And as I was making dinner, my husband comes into the kitchen and says his buddy is going to be driving by in the next 15 minutes and wanted to know if he could stop by to see my husband for a bit. I had plenty of food to spare, and I was excited to share this dish because I put a lot of time and effort into making it. I'm kind of new to cooking, and it's one thing I've really mastered. I told my husband that his friend was welcome to join us for dinner. So they sit at the table, and I make us all plates. His friend had bought a 6-pack, so instead of wine, they drank beer. I thought that it was odd to have beer with Alfredo, but whatever. I started digging into my meal, but they're caught up in chatting. After they finish their beers, my husband grabs 2 more from the fridge and brings back with him a bottle of hot sauce. Without even trying a single bite, he sprays hot sauce all over his entire plate. My friend sees what he's doing and is like, hell yeah, man, pass the hot sauce over here. And then he covers his pasta in it. The only thing I said was that they might get a stomachache from all that cheese, hot sauce, cream, and butter in their stomachs. The way I was raised, someone cooking for you is a gift. Even if you get a crappy gift, you should at least show gratitude. I was also taught that to be polite, you always try a bit of the food before changing or modifying it. It hurt my feelings and I thought it showed poor manners on my husband's part. Later, I told my husband how I felt and he said that I was making a big deal of nothing. He said he should be free to eat how he likes. For the record, he did get a terrible tummy ache. So tell me, am I the arsehole? Now in the comments, TopAd2676 says, first, did I just detect a bit of condescension when you mentioned they cracked a bottle of beer open instead of wine? Sounds to me like you're a bit of a food snob. And no, you don't get to tell people, even husbands, what they can and cannot put on the food they're eating, no matter who made it. For me, you're the asshole. I would go with everyone sucks here instead. Husband should have at least tried the food first instead of immediately dumping hot sauce on it. Well, it does say that she's made this before, even if it's rare, so he does already know what it tastes like. I find fettuccine alfredo can be very, very different, even if you make it the same way. Plus, she says she splurged on the expensive parmesan, so it sounds like it actually was different than normal. The expensive parmesan isn't going to make a huge difference where it would be a different meal. It really can't be that different each time. It's a fairly straightforward and simple recipe. Actually, yeah, more expensive cheese does make a difference. Bags of pre-shredded cheese are coated in an anti-clumping agent, doesn't melt the same, and doesn't have as distinctive a flavor. The parm that comes in the shake container isn't even 100% cheese, not even remotely the same as a more costly, freshly grated block. Not the arsehole OP, he should have at least tried it before dousing it in hot sauce, even if only because he knew it was an important meal to you. I will say, beer goes with anything though. Bureaucrat Drift says, no arseholes here. It's polite to try new foods before modifying them on one hand, but on the other, if you're a spice fiend, you already know that cream sauces need all the help they can get. Look, she's cooked it before. He likely had a pretty good idea how it tasted without the hot sauce. I was leaning not the arsehole, but yeah, if the husband has already eaten this a few times, it's no arseholes here because he knows what the food is like and how he enjoys it. And the friend just going along because the husband already tried it, plus everybody knows that cooking is particularly prone to changes by people who are meant to enjoy it. How the hell is the husband the asshole for liking hot sauce? Look, I never said he was. It's polite to try a bite before altering food, but he knew what it tasted like already, so he's certainly not. The not the arsehole would have said the husband is the arsehole. You're the arsehole. Let people eat their food how they like. If you cannot stomach modifications, stop cooking for them. And Furious Pie 314 says, no arseholes here. You state that's how you were raised, but not how your husband was raised. If he didn't grow up with the same values about cooking, then expecting him to share them without speaking to him isn't very fair. When things cool down, explain it to him like you did to us. Help him understand, but also be open to seeing things the way he does too. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat in the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.